Everyone tells you the wallet does not matter. They tell you it is just a container, a practical object. Buy whatever is on sale. Buy whatever matches your bag. Buy whatever feels comfortable in your pocket. I am going to show you today that this is exactly why so many people who work hard, who earn reasonably, who do everything they are supposed to do, still find that the money never seems to stay. The wallet is not just a container. It has never been just a container. And the color of that wallet is not a decoration. It is a declaration. And some declarations, made in ignorance, cost you more than you can calculate. My name is Rabbi Naomi, and I have spent more than 30 years inside the texts and teachings of Torah wisdom as it applies to the home, to the body, and to the material life. My family carried this knowledge through generations. My grandmother, who rebuilt a life from nothing after arriving in this country with 2 children and a single suitcase, understood things about how abundance moves and how it can be blocked that modern financial thinking has never come close to describing. She was not a rabbi. She was not a scholar by the formal definition. But the knowledge she carried was older than any institution, and the results it produced in her life and in the lives of the people she guided were consistent and documentable. What I am going to share with you today has been preserved within certain families and certain teaching lineages for generations. It was not designed for mass teaching. But the times we are living in, the financial pressure, the confusion, the growing sense that something is working against people, no matter how hard they try, demand that this be said plainly and publicly. So I am saying it. Before we go one sentence further, I need you to type the words, "My wallet is ready," in the comments right now. Do it before we continue. When you declare your readiness aloud, even in text, you are making a spiritual agreement with the intention you are about to receive. The channel opens before the teaching begins. Type it. I will be watching for your name. Now. I want to name something first because I see this mistake constantly, and it causes me a particular kind of sadness. The sadness of a teacher who has watched the same error repeat itself for decades. People spend enormous energy trying to earn more, to budget better, to negotiate harder. And all of that has value. I am not dismissing any of it. But they give almost no attention to the vessel in which money lives closest to their body. The wallet sits against your skin for hours every day. It is the physical object most intimately associated with your financial life. And most people choose it based on price, or color preference, or brand recognition, with no understanding whatsoever of what they are doing to the energetic frequency of their money in the process. The Zohar, the foundational text of Jewish mysticism, teaches that physical objects carry and transmit frequency. This is not superstition. The ancient teachers understood that color, material, shape, and intention are not neutral. They are active. They either amplify the flow of abundance or they constrict it. And 3 specific colors, when used as the primary color of a wallet, create what the tradition calls a chisaron, a state of depletion, of perpetual lack, of money that arrives but does not stay. 3 colors. And I have watched people carry them for years, wondering why the ceiling never lifts. Think of the wallet as a vessel, the way a cup is a vessel. If you fill a cracked cup, the water drains no matter how much you pour. The crack is not always visible. Sometimes the crack is the color, the frequency, the declaration being made every single time that wallet opens and closes in your hands. What you are about to learn is not about superstition. It is about alignment. And alignment, in this tradition, is a science. Let me walk you through each of the 3 colors now. These build on each other. Do not skip ahead. The number 3 is not incidental in this teaching. In the ancient wisdom tradition, 3 is the number of chazaka, the number of repetitions required to establish a pattern, a precedent, a binding reality. The rabbis of the Talmud used this principle extensively in law. A pattern repeated 3 times becomes a presumption of permanence. When 3 specific colors work together, even unknowingly, even without intention, they establish a chazaka of lack, of drain, of money that moves through without settling. And this is precisely what I see in the homes and the lives of people who carry the colors I am about to name. The first color is black. I want to be precise here because this requires nuance, and I will not give you a careless teaching on something this important. Black is not an inherently negative color in the tradition. There are contexts in which black carries deep dignity and solemnity. The Shabbat table, the Torah scroll cover, the judge's garment. These are appropriate uses of black because they are contexts of ceremony, of completion, of sacred weight. The wallet is not that context. The wallet is a vessel of active circulation, of money in motion, money moving in, moving out, moving through the world and returning multiplied. Black, in the tradition of sacred objects used for active financial purpose, carries the energy the Kabbalists called tzimtzum, a contraction, a pulling inward, a withdrawal of light. When you place your money in a black vessel day after day, you are placing it in the frequency of contraction, of hiding, of withdrawal. I have seen this principle at work in case after case, and the pattern is consistent enough that I stopped being surprised by it years ago. A woman came to me. She was in her late 30s, had worked in the same industry for over a decade, had a steady income by most measures, and yet reported that despite earning a good salary, she always arrived at the end of the month with less than she expected. Not because of reckless spending, she had tracked it. The money simply seemed to shrink at a rate that did not match her behavior. She carried a black wallet, expensive, well-made. A gift from someone she respected, which made her feel that changing it was somehow disloyal or ungrateful. I explained the principle. She resisted it for 3 more months. I want to be honest about that because the resistance itself is part of the pattern. And then, after a particularly frustrating month, in which she had earned well and still ended up short, she made the change. Within 6 weeks, she told me that for the first time in 2 years, she had closed out a month with a surplus. Not a dramatic fortune, a surplus. The first movement of water in a pipe that had been partially blocked. That surplus compounded over the months that followed. The second color is white, and here again I must be precise, because white has profound positive meaning in many areas of sacred life. White is the color of Yom Kippur, of purity, of new beginnings, of the kittel, the garment of spiritual elevation. These are contexts of removal from the material world, of transcendence, of separation from physical concern. And that is precisely the problem with a white wallet. The tradition teaches that abundance requires a vessel that can hold, that can contain, that has weight and substance in the material realm. White, in its sacred meaning, carries the frequency of ayin, nothingness, the transcendent void before creation. It is the color of the soul moving beyond the physical. When you place your money in this frequency, in this color that spiritually signals the dissolution of material substance, you are, without knowing it, sending a message to the energetic layer of your financial life that material holding is not the purpose of this vessel. And money, the tradition teaches, responds to the intention encoded in its container. It moves toward the frequency of what it is being invited into. Invited into transcendence, and it transcends, meaning it leaves. I worked with a man in his mid-40s, a businessman, practical, deeply skeptical of anything that sounded mystical, who came to me at the recommendation of a family member and sat across from me with his arms folded for the first 20 minutes. He carried a white wallet. He had carried white wallets for as long as he could remember because he associated the color with cleanliness and professionalism. I explained this principle to him. He did not change the wallet immediately. He argued with me about it for 2 sessions, but somewhere in the 3rd conversation, something landed, and he made the change. Not because he believed me, but because he decided the experiment cost him nothing. Within 2 months, he reported that a business negotiation he had been circling for almost a year had suddenly closed. He could not explain why it closed when it did. I did not need to explain it to him. He explained it to himself. The 3rd color, and I want you to stay with me here because this is the one that surprises people most, the one where I receive the most pushback, and the one that I have seen produce the most consistent results when it is addressed. The 3rd color is red. Red is the color of energy, of passion, of life force, of power. And in the modern world, red is almost universally associated with success, with boldness, with confident financial behavior. So why would a red wallet be a problem? Because in the tradition, the meaning of color is not about cultural association. It is about energetic function. And red, in the Kabbalistic framework of the Sephirot, the divine attributes that govern the flow of blessing into the world, corresponds to Gevura, strength, judgment, severity, boundary. These are not negative forces in themselves. Gevura has essential, sacred purpose. But Gevura applied to money, to the vessel that is meant to receive, hold, and circulate abundance, acts as a constant energy of restriction, of cutting off, of sharp boundary where flow is needed. Red tells the financial energy, stop here, pull back here, withdraw here. And it does exactly that, reliably, repeatedly. This is the color I have seen most commonly in the wallets of people who describe their financial experience as 1 step forward, 2 steps back, who earn and lose, who almost close the deal and do not, who feel as though abundance gets close and then retreats at the last moment. That is the precise energetic signature of Gevura, applied where Chesed, the attribute of flow, of loving abundance, of endless expansion, should be operating instead. The wallet must carry the frequency of Chesed, and red carries Gevura. These are not compatible, not in this vessel, not in this context. Now I will tell you what to use instead, because a teaching that only names what to remove is half a teaching, and I do not give half teachings. The tradition is consistent and specific on this point. The colors that carry the frequency of chesed, of open flow, of held abundance, of money that arrives and settles, are green, which in the ancient color language of creation corresponds to growth, to living things, to harvest and regeneration. Brown and deep tan, which correspond to the earth itself, to the grand ground that receives seed and multiplies it, to the foundational stability that wealth requires in order to compound. And gold, or deep yellow, which in the tradition corresponds to divine light made material, to the frequency of the sun that causes things to grow without restriction. These are the colors that belong in a wallet, not because they are lucky charms, because they are aligned, energetically, spiritually, precisely, with what the wallet is meant to do. Here is what I want you to do with this today. Not next month, not when you feel ready, today. Look at your wallet right now. What color is it? If it is black, white, or red, do not throw it away today. Do not panic about the years you have carried it. The past is sealed and cannot be reopened, but the future is not. Go this week with intention, with the specific understanding of why you are making this change, and find a wallet in green, in brown, in deep tan, or in gold. It does not need to be expensive. The tradition is clear. The frequency of the vessel comes from its color and from the intention carried into the purchase, not from the price. When you bring the new wallet home, before you transfer anything into it, hold it in both hands. The tradition specifies both hands for a receiving posture, not one, and say aloud, "This vessel is prepared for abundance. What enters here multiplies. What is held here is blessed. I receive." Say it with full intention. Say it out loud. Then transfer your money, your cards, your documents with deliberate care, not hastily, not while distracted. The intention carried into the first filling of a new wallet sets its energetic pattern. And then, this is the step most people skip, and it is one of the most important. Place a single bill of the highest denomination you comfortably own into a small pocket of the wallet that you do not touch for daily spending. Let me say something more about why this matters, because I have watched people perform every other step carefully and then skip this one, and the skip costs them more than they realize. The tradition teaches that emptiness attracts emptiness. A vessel that has known the feeling of being fully drained carries a memory of that state, and the memory of depletion has a pull, a gravity, that draws the experience back toward itself. The seed money breaks that memory. It installs a new memory, a memory of fullness. Every time the wallet opens and closes, every transaction, every moment of financial engagement, it happens in the presence of that seed. And the presence of the seed says, without words, in the language of energy and frequency, there is always something here. There is always a foundation. There is always more than zero. That is not a small declaration. In the language of the tradition, that is a statement about the nature of the vessel. And the vessel, once it knows itself as a place of permanent holding rather than perpetual drain, begins to fulfill that identity. The tradition calls this the zera, the seed. A wallet that is never fully empty carries the frequency of abundance that never fully runs out. The seed money stays. It is not an emergency fund. It is a spiritual anchor. It tells the wallet what it is for. It tells the energy of money. This is a place of accumulation, not depletion. Every time you open that wallet, the seed is there. The frequency is set. The declaration is made without words every single time. I want to be honest with you about something because you deserve the complete picture. What I have shared with you today is foundational. It is real. And if you apply it with the consistency and intention the teaching requires, I have seen, repeatedly across many years, what tends to follow is a measurable shift in the quality of financial flow. But this is one layer of a much larger architecture. The color of the wallet sits inside a complete system of home alignment, of speech habits that either attract or repel provision, of specific practices tied to the ancient calendar, of family lineage patterns that most people carry without ever identifying. I have spent years organizing that complete architecture into a resource that people can work with at home, step by step, without needing years of formal study. If what I shared today opened something in you, and I believe it has, then the complete map is available. The link is in the description. It is the full system, not the single piece. I encourage you to move toward it, while the clarity you feel right now is present. Clarity is its own kind of window. It does not stay open indefinitely. Now, before we close, I need to prepare you for what comes next, because I have seen what happens in the days following this kind of teaching, and I would be doing you a disservice if I did not name it plainly. Within the next several days, as you make the change I have described, you may feel a sense of energy, a lightness, a sense that something has shifted in the right direction. That is real. Honor it. But I need you to be prepared. At some point in the first 2 to 3 weeks, something will test your confidence in this practice. A purchase will feel tighter than expected. A financial anxiety will surface. Someone in your life, possibly someone you love, will hear what you did and respond with ridicule or skepticism. They will call it superstition. They will tell you it is silly. And in that moment, every doubt you manage to push aside will want to come rushing back in. I am telling you now, that test is not evidence that the practice is not working. That test is the nisayon, the trial that arrives precisely because the energetic shift is real and the old pattern does not release without resistance. The old frequency fights to stay. Stay in your knowing. Hold the new wallet. Keep the seed money in place. Do not explain yourself to people who are not ready to understand. The results will speak in a language that requires no defending. What you received today is not new. It is old, older than any financial system operating in the world right now. It has persisted because it is true, and now it is yours. One thing before you close this video. Leave me a comment below naming your current wallet color. Just that. Name it. I want to see who is examining this honestly, and I want to respond to those who are willing to look at what they have been carrying. Write your wallet color in the comments. I read every single one. If you are not subscribed with the bell on, I need you to do that right now, because next week I am going to reveal the specific words spoken by certain families each time money changes hands. Words that have been passed down through trading lineages for centuries, specifically because of what they do to the frequency of every transaction that follows. If you are watching this and money is something you handle every day, which is all of us, you cannot afford to miss what is coming. Subscribe. Turn the bell on. Do not let it pass you by. And if what I shared today landed something true in you, if there was a moment in this teaching where something clicked, where something explained an experience you have had but could not name, please press the like button now. It costs you nothing, but it places this wisdom in front of someone else who is quietly searching for exactly the explanation you just received. Become the channel. Press like. May the vessel of your provision be whole. May the colors of your life carry the frequency of harvest, of growth, of abundance that arrives and stays and multiplies. May you walk from this day forward with hands that are open to receive and a heart that is ready to hold. Go in wisdom. Go in alignment. Shalom.